Welcome back to No Broken Legs. I am your host, Evan Belfiore. Joining me on the phone is Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, how are you on this rainy Wednesday night?
I'm doing all right, bro. Glad you're back safe and sound from your wedding and honeymoon. It was a pleasure to be there, and I can't wait to get into this crazy week 6 slate.
Yeah, I picked a weird time to take some games off because it seems like some things we thought were true are not, and some things that we didn't, or that we thought were true ended up being true. But we'll look at what some of those things are. As usual, we start with the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are hosting the New England Patriots. They are 2.5-point favorites. The over-under is 43.5. Browns money line minus 140. New England is plus 120. Jimmy, this line was 3 this afternoon, so it's moved a half point towards New England. There's a lot of money on New England. Are you with the sharps on this one?
Oh, 100%. Give me New England plus 2.5. Give me the money line at plus 120. I think New England wins this game outright. The main storylines right now in the Bostonian media is all the Patriots have to do is not make mistakes, and Kevin Stefanski will beat himself. And I have zero arguments with that. Like, there's nothing I can say to dispute that.
There's no reason Cleveland shouldn't dominate this game. They have more talent. Right now, Nick Chubb seems to just be able to rip off 120 yards in his sleep. Like, no, even stuff in the box, nobody seems to be able to stop him. But these are the types of games that Bill Belichick just coaches his teams to wins. Stefanski's going to outsmart himself, and Belichick's just going to pick a singular thing that the Browns can't do, like, defend the run. And he's just going to do it the whole game. And he's just going to keep picking at that scab and force you to fix it. And right now, it doesn't look like the things the Browns are bad at can be fixed. Like, they're not just all of a sudden going to become a good tackling team. I mean, maybe they can show up for a game or a quarter or a half, but like, there's nothing to suggest that the rest of the season they're just all of a sudden going to make tackles.
Maybe down the road, adding the pickup of Deion Jones might help. I don't see how in less than a week it makes a big impact. And we have been probably some of the earliest banging the drums for Joe Woods' loss of job or change of employment, however you want to say it. But at this point, it's got to fall on the players as well. Because there are just too many first-round draft picks, too many good players that do not look like they want to tackle anybody. And that is a problem. One of the callers on 92.3 today during one of the shows asked the radio host a very cool question, which was, which one of Myles Garrett's 7 tackles this year were your favorite? Like,
oh man, that's rough. That is rough.
That's a problem. The Patriots run game with Ramondre Stevenson really got going last week. So I fear that, and I agree with you. I don't know how you just fix that unless everybody just comes together and says, this is the spot where we turn our season around to where it needs to go, and we tackle and we shut down the run, and we make just coming off injury Mac Jones or Zappy beat us. Like, I don't, but then again, every week there's like 5 plays where we just don't cover somebody in the secondary as well. So we've got, that going for us defensively as well.
Yeah,
so
they just, for all the talent they have in the secondary, they don't cover very well either. And it's nice to see that Brown safeties, just seeing Johnson take over for Harrison as the, quote, guy who gets dumb penalties for no reason.
Yeah, it was nice of him.
It's nice to see that he's keeping that tradition alive because it's just if these guys are going to be that good, they like if they're going to get paid like that, they have to be better. And I don't see how firing Joe Woods helps because who are you replacing him with? Somebody on the staff that's a Joe Woods guy? I don't know where you're finding somebody unless you want to go pick up the just fired Carolina defensive coordinator. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and like,
I don't know. Maybe you liked what you saw out of him in week one, but I mean, that's the options right now. Nobody else is out there.
and like, because I didn't like a lot of people were kind of shitting on the defensive game plan for last week because I don't know if everybody knows this. Like, most defensive coordinators, you're a 3-4 guy or a 4-3 guy or a
Mm-hmm.
Tampa 2 or a 46 or whatever.
Well, everybody
Joe
seems to be
Woods,
running some form of nickel now because there's
right?
so few downs that you see two linebackers, or so that you see 3 or 4 linebackers on the field, unless you're Pittsburgh or Baltimore.
Right. But Joe Woods is different in that he schemes a different game plan every week. That's just kind of like been his MO. Is that, if this week what I think is going to work is 3-4, we'll do that. If I think 4-3 next week, that's what we're going to do. I think based on the way they lost the Chargers game last year, he said last week, I'm going to play a cover 2 shell. I'm not going to get beat over top of me. And then we just let guys run wide open in the 8-10 range. or
Yeah, but
Austin Eckler wouldn't get touched.
I was going to say that's the thing. I don't think they have the defensive tackles to play that cover 2.
Oh, I agree
because
with you.
teams
Well,
are just going to destroy them on the ground.
Wait, you mean the weakness of the team is still defensive tackle and linebacker?
It's almost like we called this before the season when we did our preseason.
How about that?
They're weak in the middle. And Anthony Stewart, who I don't think either one of us thinks he's great, but he's another guy that sort of reminds me a bit of Joe Schobert, a guy that nobody seems to have a lot of respect for until he's gone, and you see how important he is when it comes down to making sure guys are in the right spots, making sure that the plays are being called correctly. They just, and it's not even so much as they look disorganized, as they don't make plays.
No, and I really did. Like I felt last week, I felt the cover 2 shell was the way to go, and the Browns defense just did not execute enough. And I fear
that's something that's probably not going to be fixed consistently for the rest of the year.
And I just if there's one team you don't want to play when you're not executing well, it would be the Bill Belichick coach team. Kevin Stefanski has decided I'm not even going to make the other coach figure out how to stop Nick Chubb because I'll just stop Nick Chubb.
Yeah, it's why is Kareem Hunt getting 11 carries when Nick Chubb has a 10-yard per carry average?
It was absolutely asinine. Stop making.
You know what that is? You know what that is, don't you?
Oh, I know what it is.
This is the bad side of analytics. This is the computer saying, "Oh, well, Nick Chubb has 10 carries for 100 yards." But that means statistically over his next 10 carries, he'll, only average 3.5 yards a carry because the computers say that because that's just what the math says. But it shows, and this is something that you'll hear me talk about after, missing 2 weeks and catching up on everything. A lot of coaches have no feel for the game.
Yeah.
Just no feel for how a game's going. And right now, Nick Chubb is unstoppable. And every time they run a play for somebody that's not Nick Chubb, or they have a set where Nick Chubb's not on the field, if I'm a defense, I'm breathing a sigh of relief.
Actually, something that the LA radio broadcasters were saying was every time they went empty set, every time Nick Chubb wasn't on the field, you could actually see the defense kind of take a sigh of relief.
Yeah, because he's scary. And he's the only guy on that team that's really scary. I don't get it. I don't get why he's not on the field. I don't care how much better Hunt is at catching the football. Defenses are scared of Nick Chubb, and they love seeing Kareem Hunt back there. And that's not because Kareem Hunt's a scrub. He's a good player, but Nick Chubb's a difference maker in a way that Kareem Hunt just isn't.
Right. Well, and I don't even know if it's necessarily Kareem Hunt's fault. It's just it feels like the Kareem Hunt play sheet is 5 plays long.
Yeah, they don't. They're just
there's no
for all the
ingenuity.
Yeah, for all the ingenuity that he gets credit for. They run a pretty bland offense. We still don't see Chubb and Hunt in the backfield together. The only way they can get Njoku the ball seems to be on screens or that singular pass over the middle. They don't seem to be able to get him super involved.
Yeah, the only
Cooper
time
comes and goes, but he did that in Dallas, so I don't really know how much of that's him. And you still have Brissett as your quarterback, who I just keep hearing people say, well, if you take away the 3 interceptions on the last drives, he's played
Yeah,
pretty
no,
well. And it's like, oh, yeah, other than losing you 3 games
yeah,
when it
that's
mattered
yeah,
most, like I
yeah,
get that he's a
exactly.
backup, but he's the guy who's not supposed to make mistakes. That was the reason they brought him in. He's not going to make mistakes. Well, he's making mistakes.
Lots of them.
And we told you that was probably going to happen too. Well,
Well,
we should probably move on, but what are your final thoughts, Jimmy?
well, I want to see a more creative offense. I want to see Nick Chubb stay on the field because the pass game works best when Nick Chubb is on the field. Like I don't know if you had noticed, it was like they ran specific packages. Like one drive, every pass they threw went to Njoku. One drive, every pass went to DPJ. One drive, every pass went to Cooper.
Yeah.
Like that is not a sustainable.
They need
A
to mix
sustainable
those
plan.
up and just
It's got to be mixed up.
Yeah, if they're mixing that up more, then you should be getting guys more open. So it's
I
just
agree
weird
with,
that it's weird that they'll feed guys like that, but then they won't just feed Chubb.
they can't like flow it all together. While it should all play off of Nick Chubb play action. Like that's what it should be.
Well,
Now,
he's been the predicator of them winning for 3-4 seasons now.
yeah. Now for me, like I feel the Patriots at 2.5, the money line at plus 120. To me, it's a lock. I do think the Browns have the talent to win this game, but I just don't trust Stefanski enough right now or the run defense right now to win this game. And that's a problem because the Browns' schedule is really tough after this game.
Yeah, and
So,
New England kicked the shit out of them last year, so I'm sure that's fresh on everyone's minds in terms of the sharps betting.
Yeah, so I'm worried about it. I'm taking the Patriots all the way. I do see there are paths to a Browns victory, but I don't believe it enough to just say it's going to happen.
All right, let's move on to the game of the week, or one of the two best games of the week.
Buffalo
is traveling to Arrowhead. We have the Chiefs as 2.5-point home underdogs. Yikes. 54 is the over-under. Minus 145 on the money line for Buffalo. Plus 120 on Kansas City. Jimmy, this is crazy. The Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes are home underdogs. Can you believe it?
No. I think the Bills hype is incredible to me. Even though they haven't looked the two teams they've played that are decent teams, they didn't look great against. Clearly they're going to beat the crap out of bad teams. This is going to be a hell of a scoring game because Kansas City cannot stop the pass right now.
No.
But give me the Chiefs at plus 2.5. Give me the over at 54 and give me the Chiefs money line at plus 120 because I think the Chiefs, just like in the playoff game, Andy Reid will figure out a way to get the ball last, and the Chiefs are going to win this game.
I also like the Chiefs in this game. I think Buffalo has a real weakness in close games. I know they won a close game against Baltimore recently, but Baltimore has really been blowing leads. They can't hold on to them, which is concerning for them, and we'll talk more about that here in a second. I don't really trust Buffalo in close games. They seem to come up short. Josh Allen had a horrible series at the end of that game they lost. I mean, he threw a ball directly into the dirt that would have won the game. And for a guy who's been getting as much hype as he has, they're really glossing over his mistakes. And Patrick Mahomes just continues to do Patrick Mahomes things. He's also, I believe, 7-1 as an underdog against the spread. So I'm going to stick with Patrick Mahomes. Even though if Buffalo wins this game, it doesn't really move the needle for me in any way because we've seen Buffalo beat Kansas City in the regular season. Can they do it in the playoffs? If Kansas City beats Buffalo in this game, I maybe Buffalo panics and does try to get Christian McCaffrey or does try to get OBJ. It could be. There could be some real consequences. Or it could just be Kansas City's better and Buffalo can't do a damn thing about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're going to get OBJ. I don't think they need another receiver. And I'm not even sure if you go get Christian McCaffrey because then that would force you to stop running Josh Allen all the time, which they don't seem to want to do. Like, I think the running backs are probably okay, but if you only give them 5 carries a game, how do you know? Like, you got to get the ball out of Josh Allen's hands some. I would say I think one place for Buffalo where this game would be big if they got the win here. One thing we haven't seen is Patrick Mahomes beat Buffalo in Buffalo in a playoff game. So if they can have that home field advantage, I think that can make a big difference. But I don't think they're going to win this game. I think Kansas City is going to win this game. Patrick Mahomes was very fired up against the Raiders. The defense just has to get, I think, 2 stops. I think if their defense can work in 2 stops, I believe in this offense. I think Patrick Mahomes he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. First time he's done that in a while. And he's really good when he plays with a chip on his shoulder. The defense is just going to need a couple stops. But there's no way I'm not taking Patrick Mahomes and points.
Yeah, it's a rare opportunity, and you got to cash in. Even though Buffalo, there are going to be a lot of points in this game, I definitely like the over in this one, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our next game is the crappy game being played tomorrow night in Chicago. The Commanders are 1-point underdogs. This is an over-under of 38, ladies and gentlemen, 38 for a professional football game. The money line is -110 on both. Vegas doesn't know what to do with this game because I don't think anybody knows what to do with this game. I'll take Chicago because I think they're kind of frisky, and that field is terrible. So it seems like opposing teams have a lot of problems playing there because of the condition of the field. Plus, it's probably not a good thing, Jimmy, when your quarterback and your coach are taking shots at each other.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, I don't know why you're so confused. I know what to do here. Take the Bears. I got a couple survival pools I'm still alive in. I figure what other chances are going to be to take the Bears. I'm taking the Bears at home on Thursday night and the under. This game is not going to go over 38 points. It's going to be ugly, but the Bears are going to get the win. I don't know what the hell Ron Rivera is going to do. I don't know if he could be fired because that would force Mrs. Dan Snyder to make a football decision. I don't know. It's such a mess. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I don't know though, because Carson Wentz is playing really well in mop-up time. But we saw once again every time he needs to make a play when it matters, he can't do it. So maybe you go back to Taylor Heineke. I don't know what the move is for the Commanders. They're in a rough spot.
All of those sound like really bad options.
Yeah, all of it's bad. But yeah, I think the Bills are going to get back to 5, or the Bears are going to get back to 500 here. I think they'll be 3-3 after tomorrow night.
Wow, that's bad for them because they were trying to tank. Our next game is the somehow 5-0 against the spread Atlanta Falcons against the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are 5.5-point road favorites. The over-under sits at 44.5, -240 money line for San Francisco. Atlanta +200. Jimmy, this San Francisco defense looks as good as ever, but Atlanta seems to just be figuring out ways to use Mariota's running ability enough to keep themselves in games. Can San Francisco just completely shut down Mariota? Like, is that what's going to end up happening in this game? Is it going to look like the Jalen Hurts Tampa Bay game last year in the playoffs?
No, I don't think so because San Francisco's got a lot of nagging injuries on defense. They got a lot of guys that aren't 100%, a lot of questionable game time decision guys. So I'm going to take Atlanta to cover here because they're covering everything. They're just finding ways to score points, and that backdoor cover is working for them. I do think San Francisco will win this game without a problem, but I think Atlanta 5.5. I think they're going to be able to cover with it.
Yeah, I really like Atlanta with the points. San Francisco doesn't seem to be able to get anything big out of their passing game unless it's a screen pass that Debo takes. They seem to be able to work with George Kittle, but other than that, they just can't really move the football through the air. I don't know. Maybe Debo Samuel just takes 2 of those every game where he's going to have one 40 to 60-yard play on a screen pass in each half, and maybe that's enough because if they can run the football, that defense should be good enough to win them this game. I just think Atlanta keeps it close. This close to waving the white flag on Mariota being terrible and upgrading him to somewhat usable, as gimmicky, but it's fine. It's an upgrade for him. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, kudos. There probably aren't many podcasters out there that have bashed Arthur Smith as much as I have. And kudos to him for finding like 27 different sprint out plays to run in a game with Marcus Mariota. So kudos to him on that.
I don't like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Our next game is the Green Bay Packers are home. They are 7.5-point favorites over the New York Jets. The over-under sits at 45.5, minus 350 for the Packers, money line, plus 275 for the Jets. Jimmy, Green Bay looks off. I'm going to take the Jets. I think Zach Wilson might be good enough to get a backdoor cover here. I like Green Bay to win. What say you?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. My frisky Jets should be able to cover this. I still think Aaron Rodgers is good enough on offense. They're going to score points. But anytime you go to London, weird things happen. But that defense just doesn't look right. I thought that defense was going to be really good. Actually, was strong, one of the better defenses in the league, and that doesn't seem to be the case. So I couldn't take them to beat anybody by more than a touchdown right now. So I like the frisky Jets at plus 7.5 here, bud.
All right, Jimmy. Our next game is the Indianapolis Colts are hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Colts are 2.5-point favorites. The over/under sits at 42. We have minus 130 for the Colts on the money line, plus 110 for the Jags. I just can't seem to quit Jacksonville, Jimmy, even though they've been breaking my heart lately. But you know what? I'm still going to take him in this game because Frank Reich, Matt Ryan. At what point does Frank Reich have to answer for consistently missing expectations?
Well, would you like me to make you feel a little better about your Jacksonville pick?
I would love to.
So in the Jacksonville Jaguars' last 15 games, against the Indianapolis Colts against the spread, they're 13-1-1.
Oh, that makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside.
So give me Jacksonville plus 1.5. Give me Jacksonville plus 110 on the money line because I think they're going to win the game outright. And give me Frank Reich as probably the next head coach to get fired.
Wow.
Like I don't know how you let this continue to go on. Like how you can beat a really good team and then underperform. It's a coaching thing. Frank Reich has underperformed. Everybody wants to love him. They want to love that front office structure. They're all likable people, but there's no success to back it up. Going out and getting Matt Ryan was just as dumb as going out and getting Carson Wentz was. They're going to pay for it this week as they lose to Jacksonville, and pretty much their chances of the division are pretty much done. Like if you lose to have a tie with Houston, loss with they're done, man. I think
they'd already be 0-3-1 in the division.
Yeah.
That's not,
I think yeah.
You don't need a lot of math there. That's bad.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work out. I think we'll get good Trevor Lawrence this week. Because it doesn't seem like there's a neutral Trevor Lawrence yet. It's either really good or really bad. I think we'll get good Trevor Lawrence.
All right. Well, we'll see if we get Tua Tagovailoa on Sunday in Miami as the Dolphins host the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are 3.5-point road favorites. The over/under sits at 45.5, and the money line is minus 175 for the Vikings, plus 148 for Miami. Jimmy, it looks like Tua's going to play in this game. So what do you think happens here?
I don't know. Who knows what the hell Tua is going to look like after what's going on. But even with the healthy Tua, I'm back on the Vikings. I've been on the Vikings bandwagon since our preseason show. I like a lot of what they're doing. It's not quite perfect, but in the NFC, you don't need to be perfect right now. So give me the Vikings. I really am leaning towards the under as well because I don't quite know with banged up Tua and banged up Tyreek what the Dolphins are going to look like. And Minnesota's not scoring a ton of points in games, but I'm definitely on the Vikings side here.
I wouldn't bet this game because of the uncertainty with Tua. And, Minnesota's just uncertain as a team. They seem to be winning games, but, man, they don't look good doing it. I think this is a stay away, but I'm with you. I'll take Minnesota because I noticed that this is not a night game, so Kirk Cousins should be mostly good.
Yeah, we're good. It's nowhere near prime time, so it's fine.
All right, you mentioned this game earlier, New Orleans and Cincinnati. The Bengals are 1.5-point road favorites. The over-under sits at 43, minus 130 for the Bengals, plus 110 for the Saints. Which way you going here, Jimmy?
Well, this is a total stay away for me because I don't know which either one of these teams are going to look like. For the purpose of our podcast, I guess I'm going to take the home dog at plus 1.5. But I don't like anything about this. These are two teams. I feel like I was very right about Cincinnati coming into the season, but I don't know. Going back to New Orleans, Joe Burrow might get a little inspiration and play well in New Orleans. Who the hell knows what they're going to look like? You don't know who's taking snaps. I don't know. I don't know what either of these. I feel like I know what Cincy's going to look like, but I don't know what New Orleans is going to look like. So it's a stay away for me, but I will take I'm going to take the home dog at plus 1.
Okay, I agree. This is a stay away. I'm taking Cincinnati. I like the over.
Yeah,
Cincinnati's got to break out of it at some point because they just seem to refuse to do any of the things that you've talked about on this podcast, which is that cover 2 shell is really affecting them. Nobody's letting them throw deep, and now they all of a sudden can't get the ball to Jamar Chase. This is where Zach Taylor, neither one of us are very big fans of Zach Taylor as a coach, and every week that goes by with him not being able to make this offense work, that's who people are going to look at. Why isn't this working? Like, why aren't you making adjustments? And he doesn't seem to be capable of it so far.
Joe Mixon is dead last in the league in breaking tackles right now.
That's bad. Well, yeah, because he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage.
Exactly. Like they're just
you can't break tackles when 3 dudes hit you.
If Zach Taylor had a better offensive mind, there would be a lot of easy fixes for the problems they're having. But they just are sticking with Joe Burrow tried to do some shit, Jamar Chase tried to do some shit, and it's not working for them. So we'll see if they can right their ship, though.
A coach that does seem to be making really good adjustments is Brian Daboll, and proving us wrong. I didn't have a lot of hope for him in New York, but the Giants are, you can't argue with 4-1.
Nope.
They are traveling to Baltimore, who are 3-2. The Ravens are 6-point favorites. The over-under sits at 45, minus 250 for the Ravens, plus 205 for the Giants. I still don't trust the Giants, but Baltimore keeps blowing leads, so that 5 number scares me. I like what they're doing with Barkley. He's showing everything that he can be. He's second in the league in rushing behind Nick Chubb, but I don't think it's enough for them to win this game. I think Baltimore wins it, but I think the Giants get you a backdoor cover here.
Yeah, we're doing way too much agreeing here on this one, but yeah, I agree with everything you said. I do like the over here because both these defenses stink.
Yeah, me too.
The Ravens, I do think this could be a get-right game for the Ravens. Like, if this was that, like, blowout win, it wouldn't surprise me. But the Giants they keep battling, they keep fighting, and Baltimore's defense is struggling. They got to get their defense figured out, but I do think they'll win. But I agree with you. I think 5.5 is too much for a bad defense to cover right now.
All right, our next game is Tampa Bay Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's home. They're 8.5-point underdogs, or 8. Sorry, you can get it 8.5. It's moved. I saw it at 8.5, and now we're at 8. It is a 43.5 over under, minus 400 on Tampa Bay money line, plus 310. This just has Pittsburgh's defense isn't very good without TJ Watt, and good luck with Pickett against that Tampa defense that is still playing pretty well, even if the offense is having struggles. This just has all the makings of like a 20-3 game. So give me Tampa Bay to cover the 8.5, and give me Tampa Bay to win this game. I think that's free money, and I love the under here.
Yeah. There's nothing else to say about any of that. I mean, I think poor Kenny Pickett's going to be in for a long day. Mike Tomlin, I don't know if Mike Tomlin's on a hot seat. I wouldn't think so. The Steelers have never fired a coach in a season.
They just don't make dumb, rash decisions like that. Who are you going to bring in that's better than Mike Tomlin?
Exactly. Like, I don't know. even at the end of the season, who you're going to bring in that's better than Mike Tomlin.
It's so dumb.
But I think there are going to be games where Kenny Pickett will have a chance to learn and grow. This ain't going to be one of them. He's going to get beat up all day. There's something appears to really be wrong with Najee Harris. I don't know what's going on there, but he has not looked like the guy who played last year.
I don't have a real quarterback next to me, and it's a problem.
Well, he didn't have a real quarterback next to him last year, and he was real successful.
But Roethlisberger could still hurt teams deep. They at least had to respect that.
Yeah,
and that gave him a little bit of room.
That's true, I guess. Yeah, they don't look right, and it's for Browns fans everywhere. It's just going to be a fun year for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, the Browns and the Steelers have never really both been good at the same time. Usually one of them stunk and the other one was good. So that may foretell good things for Browns. I don't know. We'll see. Our next game is the Los Angeles Rams are home. They are hosting the Carolina Panthers, who just fired Matt Rule. They're 10-point underdogs. 40.5 is the over-under. This is one of the Saturday afternoon games. Jimmy, your Rams haven't looked very good. What do you think? Can they cover a 10-point spread against anybody?
No. They might win this game 7-0 on an Aaron Donald strip sack touchdown. Like, offensively, their offensive line and their wide receiver core, it's just not working. Stafford does not have enough time. He doesn't trust anybody but Cooper Kupp to be in the right spot because he's having to throw the ball so quick. So, and Carolina's defense has not been the reason they've been losing games. No. So, they create a good pass rush. I think Carolina will cover this. I love the under here as well. I don't think there's going to be very many points scored in this one, but the Rams will at least get back to 500.
Yeah, Matt Rule, another one of these college hires that he's a recruiter. But when it comes down to when you take away that talent advantage, you can just see that there's a lot of deficiencies with his ability to coach.
Yeah, hey, newsflash, don't try 3-step drops with a quarterback who's short. I don't know. Doesn't work real well.
Oh, my God. It's almost like all we talk about is like Baker can only be, he's got to play out of the play action, and then nobody puts him in the play action the last 2 years. It doesn't make any sense, Jimmy. It doesn't make any sense. It makes as much sense as Nick Chubb not getting 22 to 25 carries a game.
Yeah, I agree.
Our next game is the Arizona Cardinals. Oh, Lord. They are traveling up north to see the Seattle Seahawks. They are 2.5-point favorites on the road. 50.5 is the over-under. Actually, this is now a 3-point spread for the Cardinals since this afternoon. Jimmy, they get DeAndre Hopkins back next week, but the more surprising thing is Geno Smith, man, looks like a real quarterback.
I don't know. He does. I don't know. It's weird. He even actually started last week. He actually started. I mean, he threw some really nice deep balls, pushing the ball downfield. I mean, early on, it looked like Mac Jones's pass chart from last year. Like, it was a lot of short stuff. But he actually opened it up last week, threw the ball downfield. He's looked really good. For me on this game,
he's making us look bad. I don't like it.
Yeah. For me, this is a lock on the over, and then everything else is a complete stay away because I have no idea what's going to happen in this football game.
I'll take the home dogs. I don't know if I trust Arizona in a close game. Man, we'll see what they look like when they get DeAndre Hopkins back, but they've kind of weathered this storm fairly well, especially if they can get out of here with a win. They'd be 3-3 and probably have to be happy with where they are and hope they can rattle off a couple.
Yeah, because just like Miami, like most of Arizona's season has been bad with a couple good quarters.
Yeah,
like
they're missing their top offensive weapon, so maybe that makes a difference. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is a difference maker.
Yeah, like I said, in Seattle, it's so hard for me to take Seattle because you just feel like the Geno Smith that we've grown to know is going to show up at some point.
Yes, he is. Our second best game of the week is the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles are 6-point favorites. The over-under is 42. This is the Sunday night game. The over-under are plus 215 for the Cowboys on the money line, minus 250 for the Eagles. Jimmy, the Eagles are the last remaining team. This is basically a touchdown line. Who do you like?
I think you've got to learn to beat other good teams by more than a touchdown. Dallas is doing just enough on offense and their defense looks really good. I think Philly will win, but I think Dallas will keep it within a touchdown. I think Philly probably wins this by a field goal, so I'm happy with taking Dallas at +6.
I agree across the board. Micah Parsons, man, you want to talk about a difference maker? That guy's a difference maker. He keeps games close. He's a wrecking crew. I agree. I think Philadelphia does win this, gives themselves a nice cushion there in the NFC East, but it looks like they're going to probably win 13, 14 games this season.
Yep.
Our final game of the week. Oh, go ahead.
As predicted.
I'm surprised. I knew they'd get the over, but I mean, they look like they are probably going to wind up being the 1 seed out there if they can just keep winning these games that they should win. The Los Angeles Chargers are hosting Denver on Monday night. They really want us to see the Denver Broncos and the mess that is Nathaniel Hackett, Jimmy. Like, Nathaniel Hackett and Matt Rule get jobs, but you've got all these black coordinators like Eric Bieniemy and Byron Leftwich, and who's the gentleman who coaches the defense in San Francisco? I'm totally blanking.
No. Yeah, I can't think of his name either.
But, I don't get it. All these these guys just keep getting hired, and we still keep talking about why can't these black assistant coaches, even with the Rooney Rule? The owners look bad. They look like a bunch of racist assholes, but I don't know. It seems to be that's who they are. But that's a story for another day. On the field, Jimmy, who do you like in this game?
Oh, it's got to be the Chargers. I couldn't dare bet on Nathaniel Hackett and broken Russell Wilson right now. He looks all out of sorts. Like, I mean, he's got weapons. There are offensive weapons all over that team, and he just can't seem to use them. He doesn't look okay. He looks too slow. The Chargers are hopefully rejuvenated by getting a win that they should not have got, with one of the most crazy-ass analytical calls I've ever seen. So I'm going to take the Chargers here.
I'm going to take Denver, not because
What?
I don't think they're winning this game.
But you think they keep it to a field goal?
I think they keep it to a field goal because I think the Chargers are going to charge her. I mean, if this team, they've got all this offensive talent. They're moving the ball down the field up and just at will. And they're kicking field goals. Like, they're getting inside the 10, kicking field goals. Inside the 5, kick a field goal. And that Browns defense isn't good. We've seen people be able to put points on them. And that Denver defense, I think, is playing better than the Browns defense. I think they keep it close. But I agree with you, man. I like the Chargers to win because I think Hackett's going to fuck it up. He just finds ways to lose by being a moron. And Russ just, I don't know, man. He doesn't look anywhere near the quarterback he was that made a lot of people in the offseason think that giving him $250 million was a good decision.
Yep, well, I completely agree. It's really weird. It's really weird how bad they look. You almost make me want to reconsider my pick because they're probably going to charge it up. But I'm gonna stick with it.
I'm just telling you, this has like the makings of a game that the Chargers win by 4, and then they have a missed field goal, a missed extra point, and then they chased it with a 2-point conversion, and they missed that. And you're just sitting there going, God damn it, would you guys just kick extra points? Like, stop outsmarting yourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so that is the Week 6 slate. Jimmy, thank you for joining me tonight. It's pretty late, so we're going to wrap it up quickly here. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, no place I'd rather be, brother.
All right, and we want to thank you for listening. You can drop us a like or subscribe to hear everything that we come out with every week. For Jimmy Champ, I am Evan Belfiore. Thank you for listening to No Broken Legs.